All right, reviewing the stuff from yesterday.
Good morning, I appreciate this.
All right, so if I've given the center and radius or diameter, you should be able to write the equation.
X plus 3 squared plus
Y
minus
minus 6 squared equals 36.
X equals
36.
9.
9. Why is it 9?
Because it's diameter.
I need the radius of 3 and then 3 squared to get there. Remember, change the signs when you either put it into the equation or take it out. You're going to change the signs in the center. If we have something like this, I know it's going to be x plus 2 squared, y minus 3 squared, and then equals just 10. Why is it just 10?
Because that square root and the square can't.
I'm doing square root of 10 squared. They cancel each other out and get that. If I got a 0, I know automatically that's either x squared or y squared, wherever it's at. Since that one's in the x spot, that's just going to be x squared, y minus 4 squared equals 9. We should be good with that right there.
It's easy.
Wait, what?
All right. If it is graphing, find the center and the radius first. Take them out of the equation and change the signs. Put that point on the graph. There's my center. Do the radius, and remember it is the square root of whatever this number is.
Should be 2.
You go up 2, right 2, down 2, and left 2 from that center point and draw your circle. All right. On the standard form stuff, x squared and y squared have to be positive. So I have to move them across.
Just switch everything. When are we going to have a quiz on this?
Today. Let's do it today.
Probably Monday. All right, so get it to where the x squared and the y squared are positive and the number is across away from them. In this case, there's nothing else to do. There's my equation. What would the center be right here? 0, 0. What is my radius? All right. If I've got something like this, on the other hand, I've got to get the x squared and the y squared on the same side. Always put the x squared part first, put the x number behind it, then the y squared, then the y, and then the number comes last. What else do I need to do with that
Add
number?
36.
I got to get it across because I want the number away from all the variables. Once I do that, then I've got to plug in that missing number to make it a perfect square trinomial. How do I find the missing number right here?
Divide 6 by 2 and then multiply or square it.
6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. Plug that number in. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. I added a 9, I added a 4, add a 9, and add a 4 on the other side. The whole reason for doing that is so that these 3 break down as x plus 3 squared. How do I know it's x plus 3? Where does the 3 come from?
6.
When I divide by 2, that's the number that goes in parentheses. How do I know it's a plus? Because that plus 6 is positive. You go to the next one, that's y minus 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. That's where that number came from. Why is it minus? Because the 4 is minus. Add up all that junk on the other side. There's my equation. What would the center be? And the radius? Alright. What is my first step on this second one right here?
Get the y.
The y squared and the y have to come over because I need that y squared to be positive. So I'm going to plus y squared. I'm going to go ahead and do plus 10y and plus 10y because I got to move it too. X squared minus 6x plus y squared plus 10y plus 3 equals 0. My next step should be minus 3. So I wind up with this. I've got to plug in my number for this part and plug in my number for the second part. Well, if 6 is in the middle right here, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is, so I'm going to put plus 9. Then I'm going to go ahead and put plus 9 over there. 10 is in the middle. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 squared is, I'm going to put plus 25 on the other side. Here's where some of us are getting messed up. I'm going to take these 3. That whole thing breaks down as x minus 3 squared,
How is minus?
because it's a minus 6 right there.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm going to break these 3 down, and that's going to be y plus 5. Why is it plus? Because it's plus 10. I'm going to add up all the stuff on the right and get 31. Well, there's my equation. The center would be 3, negative 5. The radius is square root of 31. I'm going to leave it square root of 31. Now you can put the 5.5 or 5.6 or whatever, but I'm okay with the root 31. All right, for these, yo, it says write the equation and it gives you certain information. What is missing that we have to have?
The radius.
The radius. All right. Now I can go ahead and do the first part. X minus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared. Everybody should be good with that. That part I can get from the center. The question is, what is the radius? It's probably going to be easier to see this if we sketch out a little graph. So I'm going to get me a little graph down here. It says the center is 4, 3. So I go to 4, 3 and I'm putting my point. There's the center. Then it said there's a point on the circle at 0, 3. Well, I'm going to go to 0, 3 and put that point.
So the radius is 3.
Well, now I can see what the radius is. How far apart are these things?
3.
3? 1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
They're
4.
4 spaces away, so the radius is 4. Put in 4 squared.
It's easy.
Very easy.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and finish that off by saying x minus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 16. And there's my equation. Another way of looking at it is if these 2 points match, the y's, the 3 and the 3, then this x change right here is going to tell me how far apart they are. If you ever have 2 parts that match, either the x's or y's, look at the other one and see how far apart. There's your radius. Go to the second one. Same process. I can do x minus 2 squared, y plus 4 squared. So there's that part. I'm still missing the radius. Well, I'm going to go back to a graph. 2, negative 4. So that's down here. So it is tangent to x equals 5. I know we've forgotten, but x equals 5 is a vertical line. So that means this circle does this.
So that's 3.
How far away is this point from the edge of the circle?
3.
3. No.
Three spaces away.
3.
1, 2,
Radius is
3.
3.
So that means the radius is 3, do 3 squared. Now, how can we do that without the graph? Look at what it's telling us. It's tangent to x equals 5. Well, how far is 5 for x away from 2 for x?
3.
3 spaces. Well, there's your 3. So really, we don't need the graph. I was just doing that to show you. Go ahead and finish that out. There's your equation. All right, now this one doesn't tell me the center at all. Doesn't tell me the radius at all. So if it doesn't tell me center and doesn't tell me radius, I've got to find both of them. All right. Well, it says the ends of a diameter.
So it'll be both points. So half
That
of
means it's all the way across and it goes through the center.
So it'll be half.
In order to find the center, it is halfway in between those two. Well, halfway is midpoint. And we've done midpoint before. Midpoint is add up the 2 x's, divide by 2, add up the 2 y's, divide by 2. So if it tells me to find the center of 2 points, I'm simply doing the midpoint.
So
If I take these 2 right here, I would
3
go
plus 7.
3 plus 7 over 2, 5 plus negative 1 over 2, that's 10 over 2, 4 over 2, 5, 2. There's my center.
That's easy. Will that formula be on the test?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on board.
All right. Now, the question is, I've got the center. What is the radius? How do I figure out what the radius is?
Well, look how far they are apart from each other.
How would I do that?
like 3 and 7, like the X is 3 and then the other one X is 7 and like 5.
All right, close. I need to know the distance from here, the center, to one of these 2 points.
It's gonna be
It doesn't matter which one,
It's gonna be equal either way. Ain't
because
it?
it's going to be the same either way. So I need to do the distance formula. So the distance formula is that right there. The square root of x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1 squared. So, again, I've got to use the center. I've got to use that point and then one of the other 2. So I'm just going to say, okay, I'm going to use my center point, which is 5, 2, and I'm going to pick the first one over there. 3, 5. I'm going to say there's x1 and y1, there's x2 and y2. Plug those numbers in. x2 is 3 minus x1, 5, and then 5 minus 2 squared there. A little bit. All right, so here, you need to type, do this right here. Type in this junk right here underneath the radical without the radical. Does that make sense? Do 3 minus 5 squared plus 5 minus 2 squared without the radical. Somebody tell me what that is. 13? So that's 13.
Yeah.
Got the square root around it. There's my radius. So, I do midpoint to find the center. I take the center and then do the distance to one of those 2 points. That tells me the radius. I can now write my equation and say x minus 5 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals square root of 13. There's my equation, and I'm done.
What do all this